Hey there, my name is Heather Feather. I am the owner of Rare Bird Medicine, and today's topic is Farewell 2024. I, as most people do, many people do, like to reflect on the previous year at the end of each given year and consider what did the year offer me. And so this is one of the things I was thinking we could do together today is to reflect, if you haven't yet, on what was the biggest challenge you found to flush up for you in 2024. I think my greatest challenge is I've gotten really in a being rejected consciousness. I am in human design freak to genius, which means for half of my life I will be rejected, and then people will suddenly be like, "Oh, I understand you," or "You can exist in the room now." Thank you. So I do have an acceptance of this piece, but I notice that I'm operating because I've had a lot of rejection in the past 5 years. I'm operating out of a space, and I do have karma with this. My initial Dharma profile in Egypt, I had to flee the pyramids because I was empowering the people and the authorities didn't want that. And so I have a karmic pattern in which I fear that if I truly share myself, as I was sharing my mystical teachings in my past life, in my Dharma profile, that I'll be rejected. So I just contain. And I tend to want to contain the self and then slowly express the self. And but it operates under an underlying idea that I'll be rejected as people start to fully see me. And so one of the things I noticed in 2024 is that my ego kept getting triggered because of this rejection piece. Like I'll be drawn to somebody and then I'll feel like they reject me and I'll be like, "Oh, run away, hide," But I was noticing that as I'm attracted to someone, if they're on social media, I'll start posting more to social media. "This is who I am. I'm like this. I'm like this. Is that okay?" And if I feel that the connection is not made with this being, suddenly I'll stop posting to social media. Well, first of all, I don't like to be on social media that much. If you've ever commented on something and I haven't responded, I apologize. I literally try to never get on it unless I'm posting something for Rare Bird Medicine, which is one of my dharmic duties, is this business and is offering medicine talks. That's what I've been instructed through the Akashic Records to do, is to give talks like these. And so I'm just doing my homework. But if I'm going to use social media, I don't want to beat myself up. I don't want to make me a bad guy. Yes, I love interspecies animal best friends. Yes, I can get trapped because my phone hears me say that all the time. And it's like, guess what? This horse is friends with this goose. Like that's the next thing it'll tell me when as soon as I pick up Instagram. And I'll be like, "Oh my God, they're best friends." And I don't know what it is. They know that's what I'm into. But I don't want to use social media as a way to smear butter on the toast of my ego. You know what I mean? I don't want it to be a place where I have my egoic breakdown. I'm grateful to witness where my ego is like, "Okay, let's rein it in." You know what I mean? Let's rein it in a little. You're being woo. But I do want to make friends with the ego because it is a part of my matrix. It's not the enemy. But I also want to deconstruct it to operate in its functional capacity. And I believe the ego's functional capacity is to label. Its job is to label things. That's fire. It's hot. Don't stick your hand in it. Thanks, ego. But what has happened, I think, through years and years of toxicity here at our school in this dualistic nature realm, is that it switched into being the judger instead of the discerner. I can discern that fire is hot and not stick my hand in it, but I don't have to be like, "Fire's bad. It's a jerk." Fire's not bad. It's not a jerk. It burned down my grandmother's house. It burned down my cousin's house. I could choose to hate it, but the nature of fire is that it is hot and it burns, just like some two-leggeds. You know what I mean? And so it's never my job to judge. I'm not interested in judging. That's not really what I'm here to do. So one of the things that I did pick up in 2024 is this piece that I'm talking about of being a greater discerner. There are ways that I have great naivety, and it just has always been present in me. I think it's part of neurodivergency. There are ways I'm just overly trusting. I overly assume people are like me and deeply value integrity and deeply value honesty and deeply value having themselves be honest. Because if you're honest, you don't have to track all the lies you're telling, Seems like a much easier path. My mom always said that, and I found it to be true. And people are not necessarily those things. They don't necessarily value those things. And so, I learned more in 2024 about how I can be quite gullible how I can be dating someone that's having an emotional affair at work, or how I can be with someone that's sleeping with other people. And I just assume that's not happening because I wouldn't do that. Um, and I don't need them to be bad. I don't need my teachers of that to be bad. Like, thank you for the teaching. Thank you for teaching me that I need to remember that other people are not you, Heather. Other people are not necessarily walking in your standard. And you tend to be very open to new people and tend to assume the best and look for the best in others. I love that about you, girl. And it sometimes really doesn't serve for you to be really looking at just the light in a being when they're throwing shade. So you need to focus up a little bit. Like, okay, there's something energetically weird here. So I do think that one of the things I'm going to bring with me into 2025 is this greater discernment, but I'm just going to say farewell to being overly identified with this incessant naivety. It may always be present in me, but I want to acknowledge how I've grown and my greater ability and how much quicker I'm able to discern this isn't for me. This is a no. Love you, bless you, wish you well, but this is a no for me. And how much quicker I'm able to speak that into a room. How much less time I need to spend just kind of keeping everything peaceable when I'm not actually satisfied with the nature of the quality of relationship I'm engaging in, because truth isn't present. And that's a foundation for me. And it's okay for me to take a stand for its being. I do think that there was a lot of escapism I did in 2024. And part of that is hiding and hermitizing. I deeply identify as a hermit. People experience me, because I have Gemini rising, I'm sure, as deeply social. I mean, and it's because like people who engage with me, they'll find I communicate a lot. With that Scorpio Mercury, I'm going to Gemini rising talk about it, and I'm going to want to have transformation be present as we do so, However, I spend most of my life alone. I tend to hermitize. I tend to be in my home. I tend to not be talking. And so I'm wanting to have greater balance around communication in 2025. In 2024, I'd like to say farewell to the idea that I'm just a hermit, because I really love the growth that's offered to me through other two-leggeds. My new roommate and friend has offered me a lot of growth and a lot of awareness. He does see things divergently from me. We have a lot of common interests in common, but it's like last night we had a really interesting conversation where we saw things differently. And so I was really working to see things from his perspective. That's always the way I want to listen. It's always the way I want to receive. Let me receive you from your perspective, not mine. And I noticed in the conversation, I was like, I don't understand that because this. I don't know, you know what I mean? Because like, if I were in your shoes, I would do this. I don't understand. And it took me a minute to get to where it was like, oh, okay, I understand now. I understand. I get you. I hear you. I couldn't hear it because I was hearing with my ears and my ideas. You know what I mean? Let me ask you these questions until I can understand you. That's a grace that I'll take into 2025. I think that serves any entity is to practice listening to others with a deep interest and understanding them and a deep recognition that they are not you. The role of you is taken. Each being that you engage with is divergent from you in many ways. And in order to receive them, generous listening is helpful and asking questions is helpful. That's a great way to make friendships. That's a great way to get to know people. Ask questions. Who are you? What are you into? Interesting. That's not something I'm into at all. What can you tell me about it? So I'm grateful to be somebody that really is interested in knowing and understanding others. However, I'm not going to get to do that if I go into 2025 overly identifying as a hermit, overly identifying as a hypersexualized being. That's part of why I'm choosing this path of celibacy. I am a very sexual person, and that's sacred and it's holy and it's beautiful, and I wouldn't change it for a moment. And there can be a leakage of our creative energy, our Kundalini energy. There can be, we can drain, if you will, the reserves of energy that we hold in our possession. Kundalini energy does rest at Muladhara and Svadhisthana, the root and sacral chakra, and that's where our sexual energy is held. And so when we use our sexual energy to engage in the sexual act, it starts to drain the juices that are present in that same center with Kundalini to move up through the other chakras and be utilized for healing, for manifesting what one desires, for creative capacities. And so I'm taking a 44-day break, which is from January 1st until February 13th, to contain my sexual energies and redirect them towards creative intention, because I'm single right now. I'm not dating anyone. So if you're single and not dating anyone and that interests you, feel free to join me. My aim is on February 14th, Valentine's Day, after 44 days of doing the diet I want and being sober and using my energies in a new way, is to then on Self-Love Day, which is what February 14th is what I use it for, is to then have a check-in. Do I want to continue this? Does it serve me? You know what I mean? What do I seek? What did I learn about myself? How did I grow? And so for me, if you're somebody that has a New Year's resolution, I would invite you moving forward to consider the possibility of using Valentine's Day as a check-in on your resolutions and to opt back in to any that have fallen off. If you've spent a lot of your life like I have being an extreme perfectionist and demanding excellence in all that you do as a super intense lady or super intense person, then I would recommend making your resolutions. Heather has a bunch. I'm going to have to narrow it down because I'm being excessive. Like I'm always like, oh, I'm going to do all the things. I'm going to get off caffeine. I'm going to get off. It's like, okay, let's just calm down. Okay, you really like your coffee in the morning. I don't know that. Maybe you fold that in on Valentine's Day. Calm down, lady. But I do recommend, breaking it up, trying to get yourself to be at 100 from January 1st to the end of the year is a big ask. So you can always opt back in on Valentine's Day and be like, I've been doing this discipline. I don't want to anymore. I may choose to stop doing some of the disciplines I'm choosing to step into the new year with. I may continue them. I may pick up new ones. But giving yourself a place to kind of cycle back and redirect. And so one of the ways I make my New Year's resolutions is by saying farewell to anything in 2024 that didn't really work for me. It doesn't work for me to think I'll always be rejected if I share myself fully because I'm such a complex broad. It's like, I don't think people can handle the magnitude of my feelings and thoughts. Let's be quiet. Let's just talk to other people about what they're talking about. Make sure you don't insert yourself because you have way too many thoughts and feelings on everything in the freaking universe. You know what I mean? Just keep it to yourself, Heather. I kind of want to step away from that and say farewell to that. Thank you, 2024. Thank you, Heather, for 49 years of feeling like you always needed to keep the conversation going based on what others want to talk about. And it's okay for you to be present. It's okay for you to share yourself. And it's okay whether you're rejected or not for you to just keep showing up and sharing yourself. Because as you do that, like minds are bound to find you in the divine design because like attracts like. And so what I want to do in 2025 is share myself more and step in more to creating conversation, putting myself in social situations. What? The most social thing I do is I go to cafes on a regular basis to be around other humans. Look at these humans humaning. How cute, I get to see little puppies and babies and cute little things. But Heather's going to do some more social things in 2025 because I did a lot of isolating and a lot of hermitizing in 2024. Farewell to Heather the Hermit. You've been on your mountaintop a lot, boo, and you'll be dead in a hot minute. You know what I mean? Because death coming like a freight train. So whether that's at 98 or whenever that happens, I don't know when Hades is ready to fully hang out with me full time. Let's go ahead and shift and evolve the self. I don't think it's very evolved for me to constantly identify as somebody that's a hermit or doesn't usually want to insert her concepts and thoughts and feelings into a room and doesn't want to overwhelm others with her being. That's not serving me. What is it in 2024 that you're doing? Perhaps you've been doing it for your whole life. What is it you were doing that doesn't really work for you? How inclusive were you being to people that disagree with you? How compassionate were you being to people you don't understand? How much of a generous listener were you? These are questions that I ask. Maybe these aren't the questions that work for you, but these are the questions that I feel cause me to get into alignment with the target that I'm always aiming for. As a Sagittarius, there is a target, there is an aim for me. And that aim is to be unconditional love in form because that's what I believe myself to be. And I love the truth and I love authenticity. I will be offering a book. If you continue to watch my videos, each month I'm going to offer a book. This month, I'm offering A Course in Miracles. I usually do that just before every January 1st. A Course in Miracles has 365 lessons, one for each day. It's an ego deconstruction system. It was written by an atheistic woman that was raised in the faith of Judaism. It is Christic in its nature. It is believed to be channeled Christ. And it's Christ basically being, let me help you deconstruct your ego. You're assigning lots of value to things, and your ego is assigning all this value, and let me help you deconstruct it. So I'll be stepping into that. If you want to step into A Course in Miracles, this is my recommended book for the month of January because you have the lessons, one to do each day of the year, and then you have the text. You read about 3 pages each day. You can get it online for free. Just type in ACIM Lesson 1, ACIM Lesson 2, and you can get through the year that way. I hope you say farewell to anything that's no longer serving you in 2024 and that you align the design in 2025. I'm Moon.